Last time, on my reaction to RWBY Volume 9, Chapter 6, she doesn't feel like she has a purpose right now once she's put back in that situation where there's a fight that's breaking out and it's inevitable that she has to take her weapon. RWBY is now going to feel what it is to be in that environment again and ultimately see that as her place, as her purpose. I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know how I didn't see this coming, but enjoy. Hello everyone, my name is Jaune and welcome to my reaction to RWBY Volume 9 Chapter 7. This one is called, let me look at it, The Perils of Paper Houses. Yes, that is right. I had seen somebody theorize, based on Roman holiday and some flowery wording that happens in that Neo would probably burn down Jaune's house. And it is kind of time for Neo to show back up in the narrative now that Chapter 6 has really turned the tables on the volume and established Jaune, established the cat. Now we have another way forward where we don't know what's going on. Like, we don't know what actually happened to Alex and Lewis. That is going to be the biggest, most important thing that guides how Volume 9 will matter. We don't know what they actually did when they got to the tree. Jaune doesn't know. He wasn't there for it. The Curious Cat's not going to tell us, and the book is a lie. There's 3 different unreliable narrators happening, and we need to actually start figuring that out. And now Neo can come back into the fold as probably like a secondary antagonist to the actual plot goal of getting out of here. I put out a theory video over the course of the last week basically saying that Alex turned into the Jabberwocker, that she did not get home through the tree, but instead Oz did, because Oz is Lewis, and Oz is the one who's fond of fairy tales. Oz is the one who would write the fairy tale kind of in memory of the sister that he had to kill, essentially. So that is going to be my operating theory going forward for how that fairy tale actually ended. Okay. Last episode, there was a warning for flashing lights. This one is distressing themes. Maybe it's Neo backstory? Maybe it's RWBY not wanting any purpose at all and becoming the sort of Penny in Volume 8 where it's like, you know, kill me and go to the tree, right? Or something like that. Ugh, I'm not ready for whatever this means. Alright, it looks like now that we're in another odd-numbered chapter, we're gonna see more of Neo. Because Neo's just been relegated to odd-numbered chapters at this point. She was in 1, she was in 3, she was in 5, and I think it's time for her to come back, so we'll have to see. Yeah, because Jaune's house is made of wood and paper and what have you, so it's very burnable. An origami crane, that's so funny. And it was using magic of some sort, or it wasn't using its own hands to light that? Or somebody else wasn't. That was maybe Neo hiding? But what is RWBY? Where is RWBY at now? Gosh. Because she's looking at her purpose like that doesn't fit me anymore, but she doesn't know what else to become, and she's gonna have to...
I'm late! I'm late!
What are you late for, my guy? What are you... Oh.
I never oversleep. Yesterday, all the excitement. Get your head together. You can fix it. You always fix it.
So this is his...
I'm late. Any second, there's going to be another.
So this is something he has to deal with regularly?
Get to town. I'll meet you there.
Does he have to deal with this regularly?
Upset when I oversleep.
What did he mean right on time?
I'm sure we'll find out when we get down there.
Yeah, this is his
Where's your weapon?
purpose that he...
Sorry, still waking up. Hurry! People
Yeah,
are
she
counting on us.
doesn't consider it hers enough.
Whoa.
But how is she going to react in battle if she has to battle? How is she going to... She's reached for it multiple times, wanting it.
Hello.
But now, does she want that?
Welcome to our village. We hope that it pleases you. Would you be so kind as to tell us what you are so that we may serve you?
Wait, is this...
Us?
Is this
You're
Issa
setting us on
Badiola?
fire.
Oh, no, we are quite safe.
I need to know who this is. This is the purpose that he's kind of given himself, in a sense. Yeah, so...
Stop! Back up! There's water everywhere. You'll dissolve.
Hello, water. How may I serve you?
Oh god.
I
He has to
can't believe
baby
that
these
almost
people
happened.
every day of his life.
Ages since I missed the first fire.
Do fires happen often?
Oh, every day.
What?
Yeah, exactly. This is something that happens on cue.
Right, I guess. Introductions. These are the paper pleasers. They're probably the most polite, most hospitable afterns around. Because that's their purpose.
Yep.
When Alex left me to die, Juniper found help. Brought me to the paper pleasers, who got me back on my feet.
Oh.
Work all day. Not just serving travelers, but serving the land they live on, too. They beautify it.
It's cute.
Make it a place of peace. Unfortunately, they're a bit clumsy, but that also makes them predictable. I told you to hold these.
Thank you, Brave Knight.
That's so awesome.
You named them after your teammates?
No, I named them after everybody.
Hello, I am the one called RWBY.
Oh my god.
Hate that.
That's...
Okay, the disaster
Yeah.
side of the Morning Lantern is dealt.
He's...
That gives us just enough time to strategize before the calming Pebble Tower
Yeah,
falls, crushing
and-
the Koi Pond Dam and flooding the entire village. So I'm thinking, quick brunch.
Neo's going to do an unscheduled burn.
Life's work.
I swear.
Over the years,
At least
Juniper
it
and I
keeps
have
him
been
busy.
systematically exploring as many of the nearby acres as possible. If you think you've seen it all here, let me tell you, you haven't.
People are gonna go nuts looking at all of, like... People are gonna analyze that map.
What
I just know it.
exactly have you been looking for?
Yeah.
Anyone or anything that might be able to take us back home.
Okay, and
And
What
it's
do
turned
you
up
know?
nothing.
But so far, I mean, not much, but I've got a really, really good feeling about this 1 acre we saw with a bunch of pyramids.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I follow. Do you have any leads at all? Any other plans?
This is the plan. Look, I'm sorry I didn't solve all our problems by myself, but I can't just run off and let them die. But between protecting the village, searching for you guys, and searching for an exit, we've got a really tight schedule to keep. Or rather, you've got a tight schedule to keep.
I beg your pardon?
This is the schedule of catastrophes that befall the village every day, or at least they would if it wasn't for me and June. With this, you guys can see
Yeah.
no problem, which means I can go out to keep searching without any interruptions.
I
Juniper
want to go back and read those
combined
later.
familiarity with this place, we'll find our solution in no time. Guys, this is it. Look, if there's one thing I've learned after all these years, it's that patience pays off. It's why we're finally back together. I know I can find us a way out, okay? I know it.
Yeah,
I
but...
know it.
Yeah, he's not okay.
This isn't crazy.
I wonder...
I'm not crazy.
He's found... Yeah, he's
This crazy.
gotten a little
It's
too
easy.
attached to everything here.
We still got time before the Pebble Tower falls. How about
So...
I saddle up Juniper and show you around myself? Point out some of the clumsier papers. Just wait till you guys meet Neptune.
Damn it, John. This
He's...
isn't a plan, it's a to-do list.
Yeah.
He's obviously been through a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is how he
We can be
copes.
frustrated later. Right
He's been
now,
coping like
John
this for like
needs us,
20 years.
And we still need
Ugh.
him. We just can't count on him.
Puffy cheeks. I can't appreciate Little with the way that John is right now. That's where my mind is.
Or we could end up thrown back in time, or killed by the tree, or worse. Well, if that's how
The
everybody.
great tree does not kill. That is what we keep trying to tell him. But our hero still insists that we never ascend.
What?
I do not wish to be rude, but our work has been completed for quite some time. Because of us, the land is beautiful, but we have realized
So-
that, like ourselves, it is also very delicate. We would like to make something that is pleasing, but also resilient. Because
So-
of this, we are ready to leave ourselves. and
Yeah,
work with the
they've
tree.
finished their purpose,
It
but
might
he's
help us
holding
with
them
something
back. Because he's holding himself back.
Our hero is displeased by this course of action.
Yeah.
We tried reaching out to the tree, but our hero forbade it. Then, the wisest of our village suggested breaking from our physical forms so that the winds might carry us back.
Yeah,
to
this
the
is
tree. But our hero is clever and
this
brilliant,
is where that
always keeping us from
warning
You
comes into
understand,
play.
The tree does not kill, it resurrects and rebuilds. We do not wish to displease our hero, and I hope I have not displeased you, but we so desperately
God.
wish to return to the tree.
Yeah.
Return home, so that we may carry on with our work.
Return home, huh?
Oh, do not be sad. The wisest are going to topple the Pebble Tower today. I am sure it will work this time.
What makes you so sure?
Nothing.
They know about, oh, they're gonna get Neo in on them to
So
try and
sad.
break the cycle or something. Oh,
Sad.
it's
But it
incredibly
also
sad.
means
They're-
Jaune might not be totally right about the tree.
Yeah,
It's
he
not
has
death, it's
assumptions.
rebirth. From a certain perspective, maybe. But
Yeah.
what happened to Lewis then?
Oh,
Jaune said
Jaune wasn't there. The cat wasn't even there. None of us know the full story, and we'll never learn anything
Exactly.
babysitting these
we have a
villagers.
bunch of unreliable narrators. We need to figure out the
Jaune
truth
let
for
them go.
ourselves.
But how? He's clearly not all there.
It would be very interesting.
Is that what you think?
Yeah. Yeah, Jean, you are in a bad way right now, and there's no easy way to go about
Tell
this.
us the truth. Maybe not about everything, but about the tree.
The tree's the last thing you should listen to them about. They're just doing what they're designed to do. They don't care what happens when you get there.
We're not listening to them. We're listening to the Afterans. And they're telling us that the tree is nothing to be afraid of. That they want to go.
They don't know what they want. You've seen the way they act. Nothing here is that straightforward, okay? Afterans are all either too clever, too stupid, or too crazy to trust.
Yeah.
Then why do you care so much about this village?
Because I can actually protect these people!
Yeah, exactly. This is where he gets a purpose. This is where he finds some level of purpose, where he's on time all the time. At least they know that this is Neo, though.
They found us. I am not letting them down.
Damn. Alright, Sean.
If make it down here, those Afterans will never ascend.
And we won't run this time.
Yeah, there's only so much. And meanwhile, RWBY doesn't know who to save, who to trust. So, how can she find her purpose? How can she take her weapon up when she doesn't even know who she's fighting in the first place?
Thank you.
Stay focused.
Yeah. This is... All the music in this volume has been so varied. It's just incredible to listen to whatever new twist is gonna happen. Yeah. I don't... It feels like they keep updating Ying's hair, and I never take enough time to look at it. Like, and really dissect that, in terms of, like, what that effect is. Just break an arm, I guess. Yeah. Divide and conquer. You have more than enough tools at your disposal. But when Neo herself enters the fray, which she definitely can't do, how is she gonna make a difference? Nice. Nice. And she's not even fighting, because she doesn't know what to fight for. She doesn't. She just sees another battle. She doesn't know what the purpose behind it is. Yeah. Oof. Neo's getting in her head with this stuff. Oh, God, that's... Yeah, this is... Yeah, but this... But the... Neo can't actually do that, though. I don't think any of these Jabberwockers actually pose that threat. Because I don't think Neo can copy actual abilities, just forms. God.
walkers from the market. But that's...
Yeah.
Those were more than just her usual tricks. They eat and grow, and... How has she gotten so powerful?
Well, she didn't do it by standing around.
Damn. Sean, you
I know
gotta...
You may not care about protecting this village, but you could at least help your friends when they're in danger.
Yeah.
Ruby?
She's not okay. Are we finally going to acknowledge that?
No, no, no. What time is it? No!
Yeah. Change is inevitable, Jaune. Why don't you just take away the Pebble Tower to begin with? Why do you have to keep solving the problems? Go to the root of the source.
And they're dead.
They wanted this, Jaune.
They're gone, but they're not dead. They'll be back.
Yeah, it's what they wanted. Right, Ruby?
She doesn't know.
Why are you asking me?
Yeah.
We just... Because I'm the leader?
Oh,
Because I'm
God.
just supposed to have something to say?
Oh.
Because I don't. I mean, why do I have to be the leader anyway? Why do I have to always be the one to pick people up? What about me? No time, right? Gotta get home. Gotta help Jaune. Gotta find someone who isn't just going to screw everything up. Gotta stay positive, right?
Finally.
Smiles all around. Maybe even finally get our feelings sorted out. Good for you, by the way. We're all so happy for you.
Hey,
I'm sorry,
Jeez,
is it
Ruby!
that time? Are we supposed to be mourning Jaune's make-believe friends?
They're gone because of you. The walkers came for you.
He's not in a good
Leo
place.
hates you. Oh,
Nobody's in a
the
good
reason
place.
We're in the ever after in the first place is because of your plan that didn't work. What about you? It's all about you.
It's not. She's constantly made it not about herself
sorry,
this entire time.
I know I'm not okay. I'm not right, but how am I supposed to be? I've been alone.
Yeah, he's been neglecting
So
a purpose the whole time.
Here.
He gave himself a temporary
bridge.
one.
I was the only one that could do it. I was the only one. And now I have to live with that forever.
Yeah. And it's
In here
just...
or back home.
Guys, I know things are bad, but shut up. Don't do that.
They
Just don't.
they keep using this effect on like the... on their eyes. I've seen it a lot this volume already, and it's great that they've added that. And she's just running. She doesn't know. She doesn't have a purpose. She doesn't have an idea. She's genuinely lost. God, and it's just fade. It's just fade to black. Oh. I didn't think this episode could get so heavy. But we're finally seeing it. We're finally seeing Ruby breaking down. It's been so long. Who was hold on, who was the voice of the Afterin? Oh, there were a bunch of different ones. And I don't think any of them were... Oh, no, there was an Issa one. Okay, I was right on at least some front. I'm just legitimately speechless. I don't even know where to begin. The difference is, with Volume 9, they're wasting no time. It's constantly moving things forward in different ways. Ruby's finally breaking, finally admitting she does not know what the hell to do. Jaune knows somewhere in his heart that he's kind of just been delaying the inevitable the whole time. But here it's really taken on a whole new form where Jaune has put himself in the perfect place to just live out his days, feel gratified by the one thing that is he's always on time. He's built a schedule, he's kept himself busy, while also feeling a sense of purpose in being the one who is always there on time. But for what? Right? Essentially nothing. I kind of knew before that Afterin said something that he was kind of keeping them as much as they've been keeping him, right? Everyone has a purpose. Purposes change, purposes evolve over time. As much as, like, everyone on Remnant would feel wrong that people want to go on to some next life, they don't do it because theirs is over. They're accepting some finality. Jaune might think they are because he sees the tree as death. Jaune can't get past the fact that he killed Penny, and he's trying to save all these people every day, day in and day out, but he hasn't been saving them because they're not dying. Wow, I haven't even started talking about RWBY yet, but I didn't even think it would hit this hard for what Jaune's been up to the whole time, and it kind of has to be depressing because we're talking about Jaune. But they really wrote it in such a way that it is like perfectly encapsulating physically what he's mentally been doing the whole time. He's been holding himself back. He's been holding everyone else back. We still don't know what the tree means. We still don't know what actually happened to Alex and Lewis. But he's just been living on assumptions for like decades at this point. He's definitely looking older than he probably is because of all the stress that he's putting himself under every day and neglecting himself every day. And RWBY doesn't have a purpose because she's not even willing to take up her own weapon. And I said at the end of my last reaction that she's going to want to fight, she's going to feel comfortable in fighting, but when you have a battle in front of you, which by all accounts just looks pointless, what reason do you have? And that battle stands for so much. That battle against these Jabberwockers is like, well, they're kind of doing the village a favor, which is a little too representative of the battle at large that RWBY and the rest of them are facing. It's, God, this episode was just constructed in every way to just depress the hell out of you. This whole episode is just depressing. It's just so entirely depressing that you cannot blame RWBY, right? You just can't. You cannot do that. And these are things that we've seen and we've known about RWBY's character for so long. She's finally starting to lash out about them. As for RWBY though, like, I'm both so incredibly glad that we're finally here because this truly has been RWBY since Volume 3. But at the same time, it's such an emotional burden to feel. And as much as it's been very clear that RWBY's not okay, I didn't think we would see her actually lashing out at the same time. It's just, it just hurts. The whole freaking, all of it. And at the same time, it's entirely my jam. I like having emotions played with, right? That's why I commissioned this artwork. Like, I like making people feel things that they're not ready for. And I love when that kind of art can hit me in the same way, even if in the moment I really don't appreciate it. And that's, I have no notes. I feel like this episode did everything it needed to do, but I am still really weirded out by the fact that Neo just leaves every time she poses a threat to the heroes. She's not chasing them as much as she's just following them and making their lives a little worse. I feel like it's because she knows RWBY enough in some way to know that she just has to set off the ticking time bomb, and she's done it. So I don't know how that's going to manifest later, because Neo doesn't know the full story, because if Neo's just going based on the fairy tale, she's going based off of a lie. So I don't think Neo actually knows what the tree is, what the tree does. She might be listening in on every conversation Team RWBY has. She might know what Jaune said, and she might know what the cat has said, and she might know what the book is, but that doesn't mean she actually knows anything because we have 3 unreliable narrators. So I can't say that her plan is picture perfect. She doesn't know the finality of the actual story. And we haven't seen anything too much about that in this chapter. This chapter has gone away from the lore, and it's put us in the moment of this battle with the Jabberwockers, with Neo, and the Paper Pleasers, and all that stuff. And it's moved the plot forward in other ways with RWBY, and it's just so heart-wrenching. So RWBY has gone off by herself, right? RWBY ends the chapter by just bolting. She doesn't know what help she wants, but she doesn't see anything in front of her as a worthwhile step to take. So she just goes backwards, literally, into that forest. And now it's like, I'm wondering if chapter 8's gonna start off with, if Neo's going to follow her into the forest and force her to fight because it actually means her life. This time she might actually try to fight, yet still need the rest of her friends' help to save her because she's still not in the right headspace. And actually maybe talk things through to a way where RWBY's going to be okay with moving forward, because as much as they don't know what to do, the only way forward is to the tree. If everyone truly has been an unreliable narrator, with the cat not telling, Jaune not knowing, and the fairy tale book being a lie, the only way to figure out any truths for yourself is to go there. It might be a worthwhile ending to this volume that there is no cost for leaving if the tree didn't actually have any cost, and getting out of the ever after is at this point a choice that RWBY needs to take, and merely going to the tree at this point is dealing with all of this weight. We're at a point now where RWBY needs to choose whether or not the next step forward is even worth taking. So having the tree be an actually benevolent force, or an actual, like, no cost thing, it would send this message ultimately that the only costs of moving forward are your own 2 feet, are your own choices to do so, and you can get back to Remnant if only you tried. Because right now, RWBY needs to try. So I actually would not in any way, like right now, with what we know right now, I wouldn't mind at all, if there were no cost to the tree. As for my chapter rankings this time around, what order would I rank the chapters in from favorite to least? It would stay chapter 6 at the top, because aside from Bumblebee, that chapter was packed with so much payoff that was so amazing to see. So with the lore, and with Alex and Lewis and Jaune and the cat and all these things, there was just so much to that episode that really moved the plot along. So I would say that is still at the top, but chapter 7 is my second favorite, because we've actually getting to see where Jaune is mentally, and these Afterans that he's been taking care of this whole time, and how he connects with RWBY, and how they're both not ready to move forward, and they're keeping everyone they're with back. I think Jaune's a little bit more guilty of that than RWBY, but so it's 6, 7, 4, 5, 2, 3, 1. Ultimately, that's where my chapters are at this point. As always, I'm recording this part the next day, or rather Monday. There are still some things that I haven't gotten into with this past chapter, so I'm just making sure that I include all of it. And the first and biggest thing is that I did not pay any attention in my initial reaction to the song Trapdoor. I was mostly just engrossed in RWBY's mental state, everything else that was going on in the episode at the time. It was a very heavy moment, and I was just in that. So I haven't looked at the lyrics yet. I haven't listened to the song properly on its own yet, and I'm going to sit down and start doing that right now. So here, Casey did tweet out the lyrics. A beat, a step is all you need to walk away. A beat, a step is all you need to fight the urge and stay. You don't need me anymore. No, you don't see me anymore. I try my best to leave the floor, but I can't get past the door. You don't need me anymore. No, you don't need me anymore. I'm alone in this war. I am a trapdoor. Which is pretty apropos, pretty appropriate for RWBY. I knew this was a RWBY song, a RWBY moment, because it is with, especially towards the end of what is presented, it is presented alongside RWBY getting hella traumatized by Neo, and I'm gonna sit down and watch that fight again with all of that in mind this time. So here she is. So in this moment, RWBY's just like, yeah, I'll go. She's still not with it, but yeah. And yeah, and then she has this moment with, that was really good. I wasn't really dissecting the animations for this, but I do like how Yang and Blake tag team, how they have a little Taijutsu moment, like yin yang moment right here, especially. Meanwhile, Weiss has been such a non-factor in this volume, which, like, I get if you don't really know what to do with her. You can just kind of use her character dynamic of being weirded out by everything so nonsensical and illogical as somebody who's so logic-based. But I do kind of wish they gave her a bit more to work with. This was a really good moment, too. And this is where RWBY comes into, and there's Jaune noticing that she's not doing anything. Because what's there for her to do? If she doesn't have a purpose, she doesn't see her weapon as her own anymore. She's so burdened by all the trauma that she's dealt with recently. Yeah. God, this was just... Which is weird, because actually, no, Neo did see that. Neo was there for that. Because Neo was presented with that moment from Jin. Jin showed her that moment, so she would be able to present RWBY with this in this moment. Even though it was kind of weird to see it first. And that's basically it. But she's not with it. She's not ready for anything anymore. That is a panic. Oh god. That was a really good fight. I don't mind when fights in RWBY are short. I don't care. Like, legitimately, if you've seen my chapter rankings over time, the reason why I put Chapter 3 of Volume 9 pretty low is because of the fight, it dedicates less of the episode to stuff that I'm actually interested in watching. Not that I'm not interested in fights, but, like, when you're presenting me with poetic fallacy in the world reacting to emotions, and the Plunderstorm and all that stuff, I care about that kind of stuff, and the world building, and Alex, and Lewis. I care about all of that so much more than I care about fights, so... That's also kind of why I wasn't super into the moment, because I'm here for, like, the talking head scenes and characters and how they're processing things and all that stuff. And once this episode came out and I was done watching it and I was looking at the conversations that were being had, I just want to, like, reiterate that I love the moment for Jaune and RWBY just completely lashing out at each other. It was done so incredibly well, and so many people miss the point of that. These are characters who are reacting very realistically to their trauma, to their emotional and mental distress, and not correctly evaluating the situation because they're clouded so much by the fact that Jaune's lived in the Ever After for decades at this point, and hasn't processed really anything all that well in all of that time. And RWBY, just the same, is as much as RWBY was completely right to open up about how she feels this incredible burden and the rest of her team isn't really sharing that, isn't processing that with her. How Blake and Yang got a moment with each other to open up, to ease the burden, to confide in each other. And RWBY's looking at their relationship at the end of Chapter 6 like, I don't have this. When is it my turn to be happy? And that's incredibly realistic. And yet, like, she's expressing it outwardly as, like, kind of this blame that she's putting onto her teammates. And, you know, that's lashing out. And she has every right to react that way, even if it's, like, nonsensical and illogical. And Jaune returns that by retaliating with the blame and putting it back onto RWBY. Also acknowledging that he's been so lonely and alone and all this time, and he's not confided with anybody because he sees afterends as people that you cannot trust for one reason or another. And people look at that as like trying to go with that blame. And I agree with RWBY because of the blame on Jaune, on her team. I agree with Jaune because the blame is really RWBY's to carry. This is a blameless situation. They're all doing what they could. It's not a very logic-based argument that they're having. Neither of these people is actually trying to act logically. They're passing the blame. They're reacting to emotional distress. So it was just so weird to go online and see like everybody trying to say, well, RWBY's in the right, or her team is in the right. Everybody has a right to say what they said, but nobody was like truly in the right. Her team did what they could, but RWBY was also not allowing her team to really see what was going wrong. RWBY wasn't allowing them to perceive her as somebody who needs to open up, so why would they make her? And even then, it's not good to like make somebody open up to you. You need them to trust you first, and RWBY's not entirely there yet. But now to get into like what I'm expecting from the future is that RWBY should ultimately get there. I think that Chapter 8 will open with RWBY and Little having a moment to each other, Little allowing themselves to come back into the picture as somebody whose purpose is to guide RWBY. RWBY needs guidance right now. Neo's still around, so Weiss, Blake, Yang, and Jaune are going to want to be there for RWBY. If for no other reason, then she can very well still be in danger because Neo is still around. So I don't think they should like interrupt the moment that RWBY's happening, but Neo's gonna do that. Neo and RWBY are their dynamic, their interactions are really going to take the next step in Chapter 8. Ultimately, we're gonna see that as Neo's chapter to finally get involved as a character and not just somebody in the background. And the rest of Team RWBY and Jaune are going to be able to intervene in that in some way, unless the Ever After keeps them separated somehow. So that's Chapter 8, but I think at the end of Chapter 8, they're going to acknowledge and understand that there's only one way forward in this situation, and that is to go to the tree. They need to go to the tree because the tree is the only thing that's really going to give them answers. As much as Jaune wants to stay away from it, he's going to have to accept that. We are at a point now where Jaune doesn't know what happened to Alex and Lewis. Jaune doesn't know what the tree is actually capable of. The Curious Cat's not going to say anything, and the fairy tale is wrong. The fairy tale is a lie, so they don't truly know what happened to Alex and Lewis. They don't know what the tree does. They need to see it for themselves if they are ever going to get anywhere. So that is going to be Chapter 9, is them going to the tree, maybe getting there, maybe having some time there, but Chapter 10 is ultimately going to be the tree-focused episode, and that is also where I do see Summer coming back into the play. We are going to have a point, at some point, of Summer being able to intervene. You need Summer in Volume 9. Summer needs to be here. If this is really going to get to the depths of who RWBY is, the deepest layer, or one of the deepest layers of the iceberg that is Ruby Rose's character, that you need to explore if we're really going to get anywhere with her, is her relationship with Summer and how she responded to the events of Summer, of her leaving, of her disappearing, and ultimately being presumed dead. So you can't have this volume focus on RWBY and not put Summer back into the narrative. And fortunately, we have the blacksmith scene that has Summer's weapon. I think RWBY is going to have another confrontation with the blacksmith, probably in Chapter 10, or at the end of Chapter 9 of some kind, where it's like, how did that weapon get here? She's going to ask the blacksmith again, like, how did you come into this? You know, if no one's ever truly lost, how did you find this? Like, we need to have RWBY interacting with Summer in a way that Summer can speak for herself. If RWBY's relationship with Summer and RWBY's identity as it relates to Summer, if that can really change, the best way to do that is for Summer to speak for herself and not just have RWBY think about what Summer means. Summer needs to be there for herself to be able to have that amount of agency to create that change with RWBY. RWBY can move forward without Summer's direct involvement, but when you have a scene like the blacksmith in Chapter 5, that leads to something. That leads somewhere. And I do think that we're going to have Summer being able to speak for herself in some way by the end of Volume 9. At the end, we are going to have Little come back into the forefront again of the plot, of not just being this sleepy side character who's there for comedic effect, but is actually, and I saw this theory somewhat recently, but Little is going to become the door that allows Team RWBY to get home, and Jaune to get home, and Neo, I guess, maybe, depending on where Neo's character goes, Neo to get home. Because that's what Little wants to be. Little is her friend, is her guide. Little sees RWBY as the person they are guiding, and they want to get them to return home. That's ultimately what functions right now as Little's purpose. And once that is made real, as much as RWBY might not want to accept Little being gone, Little is going to function as the door that gets RWBY home, because that's basically what they already are. And purposes are given to you based on who you are or who you want to be. I don't know, and I still have my theory about, if you watch the Afterlife theory video that I made, that Little was Penny at one point. Little could very much also have been Summer Rose, which I made a little allusion to in that video as well. But we'll have to see. And the Ever After has a lot of time shenanigans going on, so I don't think either of those two theories are that far gone from reality. Ultimately, that is what I see from Chapter 8. I don't want to keep going for too long, because I think ultimately I've touched on everything. So, as always, I do have a Patreon if you want to catch the remainder of my reactions to RWBY as they air. You can do that. Sign up there. So, like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. I'm Raijin Rising. Have a good one.